These are fun, off-the-cuff discussions on movies and streaming series, both new and old.
Together, we'll attempt to bridge the gap between Hollywood industry insider and the casual viewer.
This is Alec.
And I'm Ben.
And you're listening to the Cinema A to B podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cinema A to B. Today, we are going to be talking about John Ford's The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Thanks to Colin for the recommendation. So, Ben, thoughts on this film?
Yeah, this is the second time I've watched The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and I really enjoy this one from Ford. And what struck me as kind of interesting, and I looked it up, I was like, wait, this is 62, and he's shooting black and white?
Mm-hmm.
And then I did some digging, and yeah, Ford basically didn't really consider you a real craftsman or filmmaker unless you did shoot black and white. He was pretty much convinced anybody off the street could shoot a movie in color, but it took real molding of light to really shoot black and white and make it compelling and rich. And I half agree with that sentiment. In fact, I had a really good cinematographer and lighting professor, Doug Miller, when I was at Regent, and he said they felt that the cinematographers of the era coming up through the 40s, 50s, 60s felt like the introduction of color film probably set cinematography back 50 years. And you can see it, you can recognize it if you watch the great films of the 40s, your Casablancas, your just anything from mainly the 1940s, and you look at the lighting styles and how rich they are, Citizen Kane, and then you look at what came out in the 50s when they jumped to color, they just threw flat light over everything. Which kind of reminds me of the era that we're in right now, or at least maybe coming out of. I'm starting to see a shift back to more stylized lighting. So really like the film. I don't think it's Wayne's best performance. I don't think it's Jimmy Stewart's best performance, but it's just a really good script. The best performance for me in it is Lee Marvin as Liberty Valance. I think he kind of steals the show. So yeah, I think this is well worth a rewatch now. 2 hours, 3 minutes. I thought the pacing was actually frankly quite good for 62. There was some rough edits at the beginning that were reminiscent of stuff in the 40s where characters are walking up in a wide shot and then they immediately cut and they're already standing still. They go from moving to still. There was a couple of that stuff early on and then it seemed to get better. It felt more fluid. I started seeing more close-ups because Ford had a tendency to keep the camera back a lot. So yeah, the lighting in this is really, really good, especially the back half of the film, all the stuff at night in the town. The interiors are less interesting, but when they're in the kind of the back lot at night, everything's really, the shadows are modeled and molded really well. I was just reminded I've always kind of had an affinity for black and white, and watching a movie like this kind of reminds me why. I'm yeah, it's got its own aesthetic that's that sadly seems to have not had its full run because color film came on the scene so fast. I mean, if you start looking at when motion picture film was invented and then how long they had black and white before, it wasn't very long. It's just it was here. Oh, we had black and white for a week. And then
and it's
now everybody wants to shoot color. So no, I'm kind of curious on your thoughts. Had you seen this before?
Yes. So I ended up seeing this when I did a film class in college, and this was one of the ones that we watched. So this was my second time sitting through it and watching it, and but I'm going to stop real quick and just talk about. I find it funny because what you researched about why Ford did black and white is completely different than the three theories of why it's black and white. One of the theories is that Paramount was cutting costs and had a bunch of leftover black and white film. And so they said, guess this is what you're using. It's also the reason why they had him film on studio lots as opposed to like out in the California desert. Or I think Mount Pleasant or something like that was what he was looking at. The other reason that they said they could possibly be is that both Jimmy Stewart and John Wayne were old at this point, and they're supposed to be playing in their 20s. Like they're both like in their 50s or 60s, and they're playing. So it's easier to hide that if it's not in color.
Wayne, I think, is like 54 in this.
Yeah.
I don't know how old Stewart was in it.
I think Stewart's about the same. I think they're pretty close in age.
That makes sense.
So never did it say that he was an auteur who was like, oh, I want to film on black and white. So it's funny
and it's possible. Well, I did research. He did have like hold it in reverence, but it's entirely possible that like there's just a financial reason for this. Yeah, especially in '62. I mean, I don't know.
So. With that, I do like this film. I didn't grow up watching it, so I don't have any type of affinity that way. I really do like Jimmy Stewart. I'm not a John Wayne fan. Really, like he just doesn't do it for me.
Right.
And this still kind of has a lot of that early movies. It's more of a stage play that we're just filming kind of feel to it, which
it does.
Bothers me a little bit. And I don't like, you get a couple of good lines out of it, but like something like Casablanca I'm able to watch, and or The Maltese Falcon, and maybe it's just I think Bogart is amazing.
He is,
and he does a good job of taking the script and not making it feel like a theater play. A lot of it felt that way, and a little bit I could see that they're on a soundstage or they're in a back lot or something. Like there was a lot of that, but I have to tell you, Lee Marvin was still fantastic. Like, I mean, he's a little over the top in today's standards, but it still works. Yeah.
I was comparing him to, I was kind of comparing him to some of the baddies in Tombstone.
Oh, like the main guy. Yeah.
I think he'd be right at home with a lot of those performances. But I do agree largely that for me, the most over the top, is Peabody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a really good performance, but it feels like Liberty Valance, the stage play. Like
it does.
When that guy was, oh no, I can't be the representative, I was like, man, this is just crazy over the top.
Yeah, for me, the whole like last bit of when they're in the room calling to delegates, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so long. Like this is just them introducing who's ever speaking is like 60,000 minutes long. I was like, let's move on.
That felt like a 40s movie.
Yeah,
and you got to think of how old Ford was by the time he did this, and he was definitely did his best work in the 40s.
Yeah.
So it feels like a holdover.
It does. And I'm not, it's not, I'm not saying it ruins the film. I'm just like, it definitely feels its age going back to it. And like I said, there's a lot of these films that I don't feel this way. So I just, unfortunately, this one just hit in a little bit. Again, enjoyed it. It happens to be also my father-in-law's one of his favorite films, if it's not his favorite film. So Hank really liked this. So he was visiting, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this movie for the podcast. And he was like, what's the movie? And I was like, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I was like, I love that movie. Let's watch it now. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. Well, this request came because we did
The Quiet Man.
The Quiet Man. And then Colin emailed us and was like, hey, have you seen Liberty Valance? And I replied right away. I was like, oh yeah. Yeah. I had not seen The Quiet Man, but I'd seen Liberty Valance and enjoyed it. So it's been sitting on our requests line for probably a couple of years now, but I don't know how long, for at least a year, but that doesn't really give anybody a good motivation to send us requests.
Well, we had just done A Quiet Man, so or the Quiet Man. So we got to space these out. You don't. But
you're talking about stage kind of acting. I do get quite a bit of that from Vera Miles that plays Hallie.
Oh, and again, if you like John Wayne, then I think that adds a whole lot to this film. I am not a fan. Like the Quiet Man, like, was a better performance, but a lot of this, I mean, though granted, I know this is the first movie he says pilgrim in it, you know, but I'm still like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And just outside of a couple, like I think one or two of his war films, you know, and I think like Rio Bravo or something, I'm just a leave him kind of guy. Like I just, no thanks. But yeah, it is what it is. So that again, he luckily a lot of the dialogue, and I mean, he does have a lot of dialogue, and his whole like meltdown at the end when he didn't get the girl, like he sets his, you know, I understand why he set that part of the house on fire, but still I'm kind of like, wow, this is a little rough, buddy. This is a little over the top. Like,
well, he'd been such a controlled character, calm, cool, collected, controlled character all the way through. And to that point, it almost still felt out of character that he would like burn that room. Like it just didn't, it's like, this is not a particularly impulsive guy. Like, it didn't really, that never made sense to me. Yeah. I mean, not really.
He was drunk at the time too. So.
I don't love Wayne, but I appreciate his place in Hollywood as the first of an archetype that basically ran from him. I thought it was going to run from him to The Rock, but really it ran from him to Schwarzenegger. And it's very interesting. It's a leading man that's well over 6'2", and Wayne was 6'4". And so Wayne used his size, was like the main component to his on-screen persona. And so after him, and these guys overlap. So after him, it's Charlton Heston. And Heston carries that banner. Big, physically imposing, solid actors, but not known for their acting, right? And then Heston ends up handing the torch to Clint Eastwood. And Eastwood runs with it for quite a while. And then from Eastwood, it really transitions to Schwarzenegger. And it's not, and I thought Dwayne Johnson was going to kind of carry the mantle, but he didn't end up making those kinds of films that were dependent on his like large physicality. He's returned to it kind of later with like Fast and the Furious appearances and some stuff. But at first he started out doing it with like Walking Tall and The Rundown. And I thought he was on this trajectory. I was like, oh, this feels like, and even in The Rundown, he walks by Schwarzenegger and it's like a handing of the baton, but then he turned around and does like a 4-picture deal with Disney and like it all just goes off the rails. But anyways, kind of a tangent, but like I do appreciate Wayne is the first of that kind of actor. And he gets, as he goes, if you watch John Wayne movies, he starts to dial it back more and more as he kind of progresses in his career, as far as just his manner of speaking. Like he has a tendency to kind of overdo it earlier on in his career. By the time you get to something like True Grit, he's actually doing a much better job on camera. And by that point, he's older, so it's like the physicality is like less.
Gone. Yeah.
But I do have one. You have a thought? Because there is something really interesting that I just, when I watched it on a second viewing, I was like, wait.
Go for it. No. Bring it up. So
this feels like, I don't know how accurate this is, but like the whole premise feels like a variation of the premise of The Dark Knight. Right down to the fact that they're attorneys is really interesting. And then the whole vigilante justice, you've got a lawbreaker that the legal guy can't really deal with. And then you have a guy deal with it secretly. It's really interesting. I'm like, did the Nolan brothers, is that their play on this? It certainly kind of feels like it feels a little on the nose. To me. I don't know why I didn't think of it before I saw it a second time, but like, yeah. So, you know, Liberty Valance is the Joker, Bruce Wayne Batman is Donovan, and then Harvey Dent would be Ransom Stoddard, but you have obviously a flip-flop on how it all kind of turns out. But it's like even down to Harvey Dent getting the girl like Stoddard does. It's like, it's a little on the nose, man. I think it's there. I think it was inspired. It feels like it.
I see it. It's funny because the thing I wanted to talk about was that whole not the connection with Nolan, but that whole scene of the thing that really hit me this time was I was like, Jimmy Stewart, Ransom took a lot of solace in Donovan telling him that I shot Liberty Valance, right? And he was like, kind of like, okay. And then he just had to live with obviously the lie. But what hit me this time was Ransom shot. He may not have killed. Yeah, but he shot to kill him. So like in his, like it didn't, like honestly speaking to me, I'm like, it doesn't make any better. It's like you still you personally still shot to kill this guy. Just because you didn't kill him, but he still ends up dead, doesn't mean you're not also somewhat responsible. And also you had crossed that line, right?
Yes.
Like so you are just as bad of a person as you think you are, or a not maybe a bad person, but as a lawbreaker as you think you are, because you went through with it. Just because the outcome wasn't the exact one you wanted, like that doesn't change it.
He made the decision. He crossed that line in the sand that basically said that book law was not fit for that area or that era.
Yeah.
Like it was incompatible with the evil and malice he was confronted with. And so his intent was the same the whole way through, whether he actually got the shot off or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. No, it totally. But it's interesting that it's always been interesting that Tom Donovan, like obviously a very intelligent man, and the fact that he can read is a really important part of the film, because it establishes him. He's not ignorant in that way. And he's also not ignorant to the fact that like eventually this area needs like schools and police, and it needs to progress. And so he does fall on the proverbial sword to make that happen. Much in the same way that Bruce, covers up for Dent in that film. So it is interesting. It's like his ideals were clearly more than just getting the girl. Like it, because the level of sacrifice is really pretty profound. I mean, he never marries, like, never rebuilds.
Nope.
It's kind of, it's pretty depressing end for him. Right to the end, what he gave up, to see that area like thrive basically. And to see the girl he loved actually be happy. But yeah, it's a pretty compelling piece of work. Even by today's standards, it raises like pretty interesting questions. I'm glad they've not tried to remake this thing, have they?
No, and they should not.
Okay, I hope they don't.
This is definitely one of those of like, please don't. Like, there's a bunch of other Westerns or other ones that you can redo and try to make better. Don't try to make this one. So, especially when you got, the guy who plays Friar Tuck in Disney's Robin Hood playing the sheriff.
He's really good.
Yeah.
He's a really good character actor. Yeah,
he does such a good job. And the minute that his voice goes, I'm just transported back. I'm just like, oh, this is lovely. Like, yeah. So,
can I have another one of them steaks? He's always peering over his shoulder. It is interesting. I couldn't figure out, like, and it's intentional, where they're supposed to be. So it's either Colorado, New Mexico, or maybe Nevada. Take your pick.
Yeah, I think it was just supposed to be generic West, the untamed West, because
I wonder
territory.
I think if I had to conjecture why it's black and white, I don't think it's budget. I think given the year, 62, you're definitely in heavy throes. Like most movies of that era are going to be color, but you're in a period piece of the Old West. And so what better way to differentiate your movie from everything else that's coming out, including a glut of color shot Westerns in 60s? What better way to differentiate your movie than to go back and shoot on black and white stock? Because you're in your favorite genre right now. In the 60s, you're just at the highlight of the Westerns.
Yeah.
No, I jest. Unless it's Sheridan, then you'll watch a Western.
Yeah, that's true. I've watched 3 of his Westerns. Like, I haven't watched his TV shows about it. So there's something more. Like, they're definitely modern day Westerns. I don't dislike all Westerns. It's just, I don't know what it was growing up. I just was.
Well, it was so saturated, man. I mean,
yeah. And also then my film class did a whole several weeks on like the graduation of the Western genre.
I can't remember watching a single Western in film school.
Oh, you lucked out. I did a bunch.
I can't recall a bunch of that. There was some weird stuff thrown in there, but
no. So,
but yeah, you think about the glut of Westerns in the 60s, 50s, 60s, into the 70s, not just feature films, but then TV shows like Gunsmoke, Bonanza. Like it just was endless.
You got the spaghetti Westerns as well coming in. Yeah.
They squeezed all the juice out of that. People could not get enough. It's so funny.
I mean, and they're pretty easy, especially when you're shooting in Southern California and in Italy.
Yeah.
You got wide swaths of spaces that look
Spawn
just like
Ranch.
the West. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So this movie does have a couple of decent quotes that I can think of. I do. Obviously, the one is right at the end when the guy goes, well, that's the West, when the legend becomes fact, you print the legend. And I was like, that's
a really good quote.
That's a good quote. I like that one a lot. And then whatever, the you got it, Pilgrim, or whatever. Anytime that John Wayne says Pilgrim in this, obviously is a big one. Like, I think like take her easy there, Pilgrim, or something. I don't know.
I like all the times that Liberty Valance calls people dude.
Yeah. Dude. Well, apparently that is accurate. Like, dude used to mean like a city slicker, and or basically if you dressed up in nice clothes and you were out and
you were a dude.
Yeah, you were a dude. So yeah, and it wasn't until Southern California surfers changed it, took it back for them. So
interesting.
But yeah, but it was pejorative originally, apparently. So
okay.
So
got it.
Yeah. So it's not like dude. It's more like you're a dude.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was just funny to.
Which, after reading that, completely changes my ideas on the title of the Nickelodeon TV show, Hey Dude. It was like a Western kind of a thing. And I was like, now I'm thinking about it going like, that tracks. Maybe that's an inside joke. Like, okay. But probably not. It's Nickelodeon.
Well, one of my favorite, one of my favorite drug out jokes in a movie is from Dude, Where's My Car?
the tattoo?
What does my tattoo say? Dude, what does mine say? Sweet time.
I do, yeah. Oh man, that movie is funny.
That whole exchange in the laundromat is just great.
And then the laundry guy gets mad, yells at them both, and like, "Oh, yours says dude, yours says sweet." Oh, but there's none of that here in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. No long jokes. So, yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't really have much else on this.
Yeah, definitely doesn't feel like a 60s Western because of Ford's direction and his own sensibilities.
Yeah.
Feels more probably late 40s, obviously the black and white. Yeah, it's good. I think I can see some of the budget stuff that you're talking about because of the reuse of locations like sets.
Mm-hmm.
There just aren't that many. It's always felt like a pretty small film to me. You just don't have that many locations that they go to. They never leave town. There's no big shootout or anything like that. It's pretty, some ways it's pretty plotting, but the script kind of makes up for that. It is a really strong script. And yeah, audiences were interested in kind of stories about the way the West was kind of formed. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a distance now that we don't appreciate as much. Now that we're like, 60 years removed from that film, puts us 60 years further away from the American West of the post Civil War.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the Westerns were so beloved, is because people that were alive at the time, there were people alive that were pretty close to remembering that era up to like 1900, of when things were just way different.
Yeah.
Like the wild American West, even though the whole thing with the cowboy and stuff, just it was not a wide period of time.
No.
Same with our love affair with pirates.
Yeah, it's like really short.
They barely. Yeah, I remember looking that up, going, "Wait, what?" Yeah, they're barely around. The English Navy just like stamped them out in a couple decades. Just like done.
No,
done. Nobody was doing it anymore.
Yeah, and they definitely weren't as prolific as the movies would have you say.
No,
either.
they weren't.
Yeah. So, but a very short time, because I mean things were expanding and territories were coming states and all the other stuff. So the things you miss.
I did appreciate that Jimmy Stewart sounds less Jimmy Stewart in this than he does like in It's a Wonderful Life. He sounds more in this like he does in Rear Window. Like the timbre and stuff's more toned down, which I like, because he is a very, I would almost say, effortless actor in a lot of ways. It just kind of does his thing.
Yeah, he does his thing. He does have like the oh gosh kind of bumbling, that he does a lot in most of his characters. So, and he was so slight of build. Like I think he was 6'3", so he was really tall. But I remember seeing one of his suits, I think at like Warner Brothers or one of the studio tours, and like how narrow the shoulders were. Like it was like, wow, this guy was just, I don't even know if he weighed like $150 or $160 at 6'3". And so it's a nice dichotomy between John Wayne, who is very physically imposing, broad. Although I always get cracked up if you ever watch a movie and look at John Wayne's feet. He wore like a size like 8 or 9 shoe or something crazy. It's just these tiny little feet. But you contrast him with Stewart,
with Stewart, who's almost the same height, but is just like so slender. It works as the lawyer.
I got nothing else.
Okay.
I really don't.
Yeah, no, it was a good conversation on I think a really good film, and I guess I neglected to mention it does sit at an 8.1 on the old Internet Movie Database. So
IMDb.
It is a good representation of Ford. It's not Ford's best work by any stretch, but it's still really, really good. And that guy was prolific. So well worth a watch. And but I think the script is top notch. Obviously good enough to riff for a lot of the plot of Dark Knight. So I'm convinced this is true now. It just seems
might as well.
Too.
I mean, honestly, it would be Nolan to steal something like this.
It would. It almost feels like something Tarantino would do too.
Yeah. I mean, but at least I could see like Nolan taking this and going, okay, I like this, but I'm going to change it just enough that it's not apparent. But that's very much up his alley what he does.
Yep. All right, man. Good chat.
All right. Sweet, man.
Thanks, everybody.
I was trying not to say it.